Good evening, my friends, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom, and the Colorcast is on the air now for Wednesday night. It's the 26th of February, 1997, and our old friend George Carlin is on this program tonight. And motion picture director David Lynch, who gave us Twin Peaks on television some years ago, who gave us The Elephant Man, and who gave us Blue Velvet and other fantastic pictures, will join us a bit later on. I remarked here last night that every evening I come in here around 9:30 Pacific time, 12:30 Eastern, since we shoot this thing live to the Middle Western and Eastern time zones. And you would think at CBS, which is a graphically savvy and hip network, I mean, all the programs that they do here on CBS look terrific. I mean, if you look around this set here, we have a great sense of color and style. And the hallways leading to our studios are absolutely the most I swear every night I come in here and I think I'm going to the gas chamber. Just take a look at this. This is outside of Stage 58. Now, have you ever seen anything more grim in your life? You know, trash pail alley is basically what it is. And I walk down this hallway. It's coming back away from the conference room at the end, and I can visualize through that door that's rapidly disappearing in this picture. Look at the pipework. Isn't that something? I can visualize in there the chamber with the little pot for the pellets and the guy who pulls the chain. I can hear the hiss as I'm coming to Stage 58 every night. And by the way, they had for Judy Garland, God rest her soul, they had a yellow brick road down her hallway. I don't ask for that. But maybe just a little spray paint, a little graffiti, a little yellow, a little red, a little green, a little blue. Although I'm not too fond of blue. In any event, get that cleaned up. You know what I thought we'd do tonight? I thought we'd tell a viewer joke. This is I graded this one B, but I got a pretty good chuckle at dinner, so I'll try it with you here tonight, and then on with the big show. A preacher visits an elderly parishioner, and as he sits on the couch, he notices a big bowl of peanuts on the coffee table. And he asks, "Would you mind if I had a few?" And she says, "Not at all." So they chat for an hour and a half, and as the preacher stands to leave, he realizes that instead of eating just a few peanuts, he has emptied the entire bowl. He says, "I'm really sorry for eating all of your peanuts. I really meant to eat only a few." And she says, "That's okay." She says, "Ever since I lost my teeth, all I can do is suck the chocolate off them." Thank you very much. Thank you. On to the real funny man, George Carlin, who is celebrating on HBO this month, and then movie director David Lynch and his newest film, and you on the toll-free highway. Settle back, fire up the color teenies, watch the pictures, and hear the sounds as they fly through the air. Two-time Grammy Award winner George Carlin now celebrates his 40th year in comedy with a brand new HBO special. It premieres this Friday and continues through most of March. This also marks his 20th season with HBO and his 60th year on the planet. He joins us live from a bar named Bentley's in Aspen, Colorado. George Carlin, welcome to our program, and thanks for coming on, my friend. How you doing?
And so it comes to this, Tom.
Yes, it does.
We're meeting in bars.
Yes, and you're in Bentley. You're in Bentley's tonight, and you're in Colorado for what reason, sir?
First of all, I'm the only one who isn't bent here. I'm in Colorado because it's Aspen and the Comedy Arts Festival is here, and HBO is doing a thing on me about my 20 years with them and my 40 years in comedy.
You and I share May 12th as our birthday.
Right.
And I marked 60 a year ago, and you're going to do that this year. How do you face the changing of the decade, as it were?
Well, first of all, it's sort of funny, isn't it, that the zero on the end makes it different.
Such a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the way we are. I think each person approaches a decade change. You pick one of them to get spooky about, and you never have another one bother you. If 30 bothers you, it never happens again. Mine was 40.
Really?
And when I was 40, I was freaking. I was also doing a lot of drugs, but I was freaking. And I went up to visit my mother on my 40th birthday, and she pretended to be dead. That's true. She did. Because she wanted attention. And I didn't bite. I just stood there. I knew she wasn't dead, and she knew I knew she wasn't dead, but she wasn't going to say anything. So I waited a while, and then I just said to her, "I know you're not dead." And I left. And later, that week we talked.
So
she said, "Happy birthday."
So the 40th was your epiphany, so to speak. And
my
now
weird one, yeah.
You sailed through 50, and you'll probably sail through 60 this year.
Yeah, it's a pleasure not to be dead.
For all the ranting and raving that I've seen you do on your specials about things that make you absolutely nuts, you truly lead a rather conventional life. You've been married to the same woman now for 37 years, Brent.
That's right.
Your daughter lives very near you at your home here in Southern California.
Right.
So in real life, George Carlin is probably a pretty settled and grounded guy.
I think so. We all did our screwed up period early and got it over with and got it out of the way.
Right.
And I'm so happy and lucky to have them near me and for us to be close and see each other a lot. The same is true of my brother, who's a little older than I. We see each other a lot, and we're best pals. It's terrific. And it's just a lucky thing, I think, when you have that in your life. And so in that respect, that frees me to be nuts the other way, Tom.
I got you.
If I had to run around taking care of people or having them take care of me and bailing each other out of jail all the time, there'd be no time to write the crazy stuff. So this way I'm free to do that.
And besides, and I hope that earpiece doesn't make you nuts there. I know it's not the best of circumstances, and you'll do the best you can, okay?
I feel like Madeleine Albright.
You could almost be at the UN now waiting for instantaneous translation, couldn't you?
That's right. That's right.
When you mentioned it takes you about a year to put together the specials that you do for HBO, or 2 years, okay?
Yeah, that's my average every 2 years.
You're also now in the process of, or you've just completed writing a book on your experiences, and I'm wondering how different that is from writing the comedy that you do.
Well, may I, just a small correction, Tom. It's not a biography or an autobiography or a memoir. It's just straight out comedy material that no one has seen or heard from me before. It's all stuff I developed for the page. And there are 2 items in it that people will recognize maybe, baseball and football, and a place for my stuff. The rest of it's called brain droppings, Tom. So it's, it's stuff that fell out, squeezed out tenderly with love.
The feelings of a man who quit school after the 9th grade and now will have a book that can be seen on library shelves all across America. That's heady wine. That's heady wine, George.
And it's obscene. It shows you where the culture has gone. No, it is. I'm very proud. It's a very grown-up thing. That may sound like an odd thing for me to say, but I've been living a protracted adolescence most of my life, and I'm thankful that I could. But I looked around one day sort of inwardly, and I said, gee, the book was almost finished, and I said, this is very grown up to write a book. To stand up screaming for an hour and a half in front of people is one thing, but to write a book and have them say, well, there it is. It's right over there in weirdness section. It's nice.
We were talking in the studio just before we started here tonight about your first days when we discovered you and you us with Wonderful Wino and the Hippy Dippy Weatherman and all those things that first attracted our attention to George Carlin. How has your perspective changed on comedy? It seems to me that in the 90s you've taken a different tack. You've gone a different direction. What happened there?
Well, a couple of things happened. One of them was, if you do something for 30 or 40 years, you're supposed to get a little better at it.
Right.
Such as playing the violin or anything. And I found a lot of my skills got sharper and got better over the years by having this discipline about every 2 years doing an HBO show. But additionally, I realized at some point that what I had done was to cross the line. I no longer identify with the human race or the American experience. And I don't say that in jest. I really mean that I don't care what happens to this species or to this country, really, because I don't feel like part of any of it. I don't feel identified with the local group. So that separates me, takes me away from wishing for results, wishing for a specific outcome. I hear a lot of political comedians and social comedians, and in the work somewhere you hear this sort of yearning for a better outcome, for some particular results. I don't care.
You don't care. You don't care if we all cross the bridge into the 21st century together, or whether the bridge is big enough to hold us all, as we heard during the campaign.
I want the bridge to collapse. I want the bridge to go way down, and I hope it's a deep, deep gorge. I root for the big comet. I think I told you that once before.
Yes,
I root for the big comet, and as a poetic touch, I root for it to come through that hole in the ozone layer, just as a nice touch. And I hope it strikes east of me so that I can watch on CNN for about 23 hours as the dust cloud envelops the rest of the earth. London, Paris, Turkey, they all go one. Well, I know it sounds like I'm kidding, but I honestly mean it. I just wish it would happen while I'm alive. That's all.
How busy is it at Bentley's tonight? Can we widen the camera? It sounds like...
Why now? I can't turn around and all these things will pop out of my
I understand
brain,
that, but let me just see the crowd there. It seems like they're doing a hell of a business.
Yeah, they're doing a great business. Doing a great business. Look at that. They're one deep.
Why?
They're one deep.
Why is the guy back there reading the Hollywood Reporter from last week with Rodney Dangerfield's picture on the cover? And where's your ponytail, George?
My ponytail, my hair, my longish hair.
Yeah.
Which I used to sometimes put in a ponytail. A lot of it went in the drain, strand by strand, one at a time. The rest of it came off in a fit of maybe adulthood. Who knows? I don't know. I just felt, I guess I've had long hair 3 times, so you come, you go, you come, you go. It's like your neck.
All right, hang on, my friend. We're doing good out there, and I thank you for joining us tonight from that situation. Back with George Carlin. George Carlin, 40 years of comedy. It starts on HBO this weekend and runs through March. The toll-free is up and running if you're on the radio. The number is 800-952-2788. If you're watching on TV, you've already seen it on the screen. We'll be right back after this break. We're on the air with George Carlin from Bentley's in Aspen, Colorado. Here is Mike on the toll-free in Lyndonville, New York. Hi, Mike, and welcome to CBS and to Aspen, for that matter.
Hello, Tom. I was wondering, I wanted to ask George how he felt that the 7 words he couldn't say on television are now performed, 6 of them are performed weekly on the situation comedies.
Well, I understand your point, but it really isn't true. Only one of them is out of the 7 is heard very frequently, and that's the word pissed off. The word pissed off. You still can't say pissed on. A guy can say, "Why are you pissed off at me?" But the other guy cannot say,
"Stop it now."
That. So
now just stop it, George.
On Schindler's List, they were cursing pretty well the other night.
Well, as a matter of fact, the number 1 word on the list of the 7 words you can't say on television was in fact heard on NBC. And some moron congressman today complained to NBC that he felt it wasn't right they even showed the film to begin with all that profanity.
See, I had my list and Schindler had his list, and never the twain shall meet.
This is also true. Mike, I'm glad you called, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you,
tonight.
Mike.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye now. When you look back over the last 25 or 30 years, and I've watched you do, I watched your show for HBO, the last one you did,
right,
where you went through a list of things that really made you nuts. And the one that sticks in my mind is you said, why do we have to have 1-hour photo shops? Can't you remember it? It only happened an hour ago.
You just saw the thing an hour ago. There's no need for 1-hour photo finishing. Your girlfriend hasn't changed appreciably in that time.
This is true. Where do you think that we as a nation went off course? In the 50s and part of the 60s, the early part, it was pretty well on course, and then it started shifting, and by the 80s we really started going different ways. Where do you think we went wrong?
Well, I think the question gives me far more credit for some sort of serious-mindedness than I might deserve. I think that we made the wrong turns earlier than that. Agriculture was a wrong turn, because it made us settle down and have cities, and fathers were able to pass their last names along and we had people guarding the grain, and we had the whole thing. We should have stayed in groups of 9, little groups of 9, wandering around looking for hope and little pieces of meat that someone, we began as scavengers, really, like the hyenas. That's what we are. We're sophisticated hyenas. And I think the belief in a sky god, as Gore Vidal calls him, and this need to acquire goods and gain economic power and have a salad shooter and have sneakers with lights in them, this whole materialistic thing, they're two opposites, spirituality and materialism, and the two of them are vastly exaggerated to our detriment.
You must be then amused by the so-called baby boomer audience, which, by the way, you play very well to. They're a big part of your audience. They love your work.
Well, my audience is very layered, and it kind of goes from the mid-teens through about the late 30s, with some sprinkling above that, too. But I abandoned the boomers a long time ago because they became their own parents. They became the enemy. I really like the younger generation. I identify more with them. And it's absurd, of course, to talk in these terms because these are absolutes, and people aren't that way. There are a lot of people born in those years who don't qualify as boomers or yuppies. But as a general thing, they sort of they intensified this materialistic, acquisitive thing that we have, and so it's fun to make fun of them.
I'm not going to ask you to give away the HBO special that's coming on this weekend, but let me ask you here about the targets that you select. I mentioned the 1-hour photo that you did in the last one.
Yeah.
What strikes you? How do you view society, and how do you fasten on these things that intrigue you and give you the opportunity to comment on how ridiculous some of the things we hold dear are?
Well, I just collect things that rise above the horizon, things that seem to present a little contrast to the rest of things. Oh, patterns. I notice patterns, and I'm a list maker, and I keep lists. I'm a bit anal that way. So anything that dramatizes or that points out this sort of this dead American spirit is grist for my mill. Now, this show that's coming this week is not a full 1 hour of stand-up by me. There's a 20-minute clips package of old shots from before HBO. There's 20 minutes of new material, and there's 20 minutes of like an interview question and answer. So 20 of it is new. Half of that is the latest chapter in my pets at home. So half of it is just nice, sweet pet stuff. The other 10 minutes is about how full of we all are.
Yeah.
We all are. And it's a laundry list. It's a listing of examples of how we show our full ofness.
Yeah, and that full of, that'd be word number 5, wouldn't it?
That would be in there somewhere.
Yeah. And
first word.
You mentioned pets. At one time, you and your wife had a lot of pets around the house.
Well, we managed to run many of them over, thank goodness. Our driveway makes Cambodia look like a really safe place. She killed Abby, first of all. Abby was very close to death anyway, but she killed Abby with her car. I killed Morgan with my car. And recently, Mo got his neck caught in the gate. This is not a safe area if you have 4 legs. So we've gone through, as everyone has. As I say, a little line I like to think of, my first 9 dogs are dead. And I think we can all say that.
Maybe you could have the Scots clone one for you.
Now the cloning, that's going to be a lot of fun to talk and think about, isn't it? And isn't it interesting that the first one is a sheep?
I said that the other night. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Some farmer said, well, and you could just fill it in from there.
Yeah, I know. I hear some can type. No, it's a joke.
yeah, right. So, we'll clone. We'll get it. If we could clone this present dog, Mo, that would be great. He is just the best thing we've ever had. He's a fierce little Maltese terrier, and he's great.
But don't you find that they picked a sheep fascinating when you think about it? Of all the species to pick.
Oh, and how about the name for the sheep? Dolly.
Yeah.
Isn't that a lot like honey? Yeah. And the Scots, of course, are supposed to be thrifty. Isn't that a euphemism? Thrifty.
Yeah.
For cheap.
Yeah.
And what cloning would come natural. Like let's not. Let's just do another one of these. Can't we save a little money by just doing this one again?
And I don't know. Would clone sheep have virgin wool, do you think?
So you've had more time to think about this.
Yes. Well, I have too much time on my hands as well. Incidentally, there's a woman standing to your left that I think I recognize. Would you mind if I panned off you for just a second?
No, you should.
Yeah. Okay. Please
go ahead.
There's a lady standing. I think I recognize this lady. Yeah. That'd be the one right there.
Yes.
Yeah. A little tighter, please. Yeah. Look at the camera. Come on. Give me the good smile. I do recognize her. I recognize her. I don't know her, but I recognize her. Back from Bentley's and George Carlin, 40 years of comedy on HBO, and to the lady I recognize, back after this break. We're back with George Carlin. Here is Terry on the toll-free Bismarck, North Dakota. Terry, welcome to CBS.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Say hi to George. He's all the way out in Colorado tonight.
Hi, George. How are you?
Hi, Terry. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
I guess my question for you, George, I followed your career for a lot of years. I've always been a big fan. I was wondering, how did your life change just mentally, physically, psychologically after you had your heart attack?
Well, I've had 3 of them. The first one was just really kind of minor. The second one, the only thing it did, it's not really such a big thing. They don't hurt once they're over. and you go and you get it fixed, whatever it is. What it did was, because I have some intelligence, I said, well, I've been sedentary all my life. I've eaten a lot of this bad American food, and I've smoked cigarettes. I'll stop doing those things, because I got my heart attacks very early. And I have my father's disease, and I was lucky to get some symptoms that I could go and get treated. His first sign of heart disease was a trip to the Gate of Heaven Cemetery, you know, and that doesn't leave you a lot of first aid possibilities.
It's intriguing to hear a man say a heart attack is no big deal. It doesn't hurt after it's over.
No, once it's over, it's fun. I mean, you're lying in bed and they give you a lot of stuff and they come, they bring you things and you don't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
The hurting is only for like whenever, you know, half an hour or whatever it is that takes place before you get some help.
And what is your father's condition that you have? Do you take any medication for it, any treatment for it?
Well, I have a predisposition. That's all I mean.
Okay.
I have a genetic predisposition for heart disease. The plaque builds up, and yes, I take obviously a cholesterol-lowering medicine, and I take a beta blocker and a calcium channel blocker.
And like, you know, I read in the papers that a drink or two a day might be good for the blood. Do you have a little wine with dinner or something like that?
I have periods of not drinking anything at all, and then I have periods of drinking some.
Okay.
And so I get some protection, but I don't think it would be worth it for me just to drink for that reason. I think I'm taking enough other things that help.
There you go. There you go. And you even brought this into your act, didn't you, the heart attacks? You did a routine.
Well, back in 1982, because Richard Pryor had a heart attack first, and then I had one, and then he burned himself up, and I said, not me, I'm going to have a second heart attack. So that was the gist of it. I don't tap into my personal life much, except on the pets.
Gotcha. So. Terry, I'm glad you called. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
You guys keep up the good work.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, thanks.
Let me ask you here, since over the years you have battled, if not formally, at least informally, with censorship and people trying to control what you say. What do you make of the ruckus over this Larry Flint movie, where a lot of people are saying it should not be shown? It should not have been made.
Well, you know, this Western Christian mindset, it is a missionary mindset. It's very external. Has nothing to do with the inner self like the Eastern religions do. The Western religions are external. Let's go fix them. Let's go change what they're doing.
Right.
Let's improve their behavior. And it's misdirected. It's puritanical. It has really nothing to do with morality, because I don't think morality is involved with sex personally. And certainly the language of sex is not harmful. You can say it's a little impolite, it's vulgar, those things are true. But I think we will always have this, though, because we are essentially a Christian puritanical society that's interested in correcting others' behaviors and controlling what you think. That's the next step. It's not just the words. If they could fix all the words, the next thing they'd be saying is, well, I don't like what he's thinking. I don't like those political thoughts. And they would correct that next if they could.
If Lenny Bruce were alive today, huh?
Yeah, well, it would be great to hear his show.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
You went to jail with him one night, didn't you?
Well, the night he was arrested in Chicago, I was a young comedian who knew him very slightly, and I would come over to watch his late show after I'd finished at the Playboy Club with my own show. And this night he got arrested. They wanted to check everyone's ID because they really wanted to bust the club owner for having underage kids in there. So they checked everyone's ID, the police, one by one. You couldn't leave without showing ID. And I got to the door, and I had been tanking, you know. And I said to the policeman, well, I don't believe in ID. And they just put me right in this paddy wagon, and there Lenny was. He says, what are you here for? I said, I didn't want to show my ID. It's not very romantic, but that's what happened to me.
What about the comedians who work without the 7 words, and they somehow are, you know what I'm saying? They say it's easy to be blue. It's easy to use the F word. It's easy to come out and tell dirty jokes. It's harder to work clean because you have to work harder at situation and writing and all that stuff.
But it's like having stew without any seasoning in it, from my standpoint.
Yeah, true.
I think these words are there for emphasis and spice and seasoning in the conversation or in the work, whatever the work is. I think they heighten the dramatic presentation somewhat. And I think a lot of people use them, Tom. I think that's the key to it. These are words that didn't spring out of the mind of some comedian. These are words that policemen use, servicemen, these wonderful Marines that we have, these athletes, all of these heroes.
And some of our political leaders at high levels.
and they use them, and apparently they have not been corrupted morally by the use of these words. So I think there's a lot of hypocrisy involving them.
But now, is it hypocritical? Now, for example, on HBO, language is not a problem. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
On CBS, I can't say whatever I want, even though it might spice it up. But I don't have a problem with that, and I don't think it's hypocritical.
No, of course it isn't, because I don't come on your show or on the Tonight Show to change the rules. The rules are such because basically CBS and commercial networks are selling trucks, and they're selling beer, and they're selling biscuits. And when you do that, you don't want to send your customers running, screaming away from you, so you compromise if you're the owner of these networks or the people who operate them,
right,
and you shade the content. It's not just the words, content is shaded too.
Right.
So in my case, I'm lucky. HBO is a subscription service, and they don't interfere with content or language.
Yeah. By the way, it's a long time from that club in Baltimore where you opened the club and nobody was in the house, huh?
Yeah, the Blue Dog Inn in Baltimore. Nobody there, and I did a show for no one. And you know something? No pressure. No pressure. It was easy.
But I mean, there was nobody in the house?
Nobody. And the owner said, he says, time for the show, 8:30. I said, there's no one here. He said, well, in case someone comes in, I want them to know we have a show. Well, that's fine for a violinist, maybe, but a comedian. So I ended 8 minutes early because there were no laughs.
Yeah. I'll be watching you this weekend. I think the world of you, George, and I love your work, and I'll be watching HBO this weekend.
Tom,
go ahead.
May I say something? That book is not coming out till May. We're very early to talk about that book, so don't anybody try to get it. It's not out.
Okay. And I noticed that in the commercial, the lady that I recognized came over and talked to you.
Yes. She said she has been a fan of yours, Tom, for a long, long time, and only wished we had a monitor here that she could have been watching you.
Well, that's very kind. You tell her I truly appreciate that, and tell her I wish I could tell her in person how much I appreciate that.
She knows, Tom.
All right. Good night, George. Good night, newfound friend. And
I appreciate it.
Okay, George Carlin, 40 years of comedy on HBO this coming weekend. I'm just looking to see if everything's okay at the bar there. Back with David Lynch, motion picture director, after these messages. With such acclaimed films as Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, and The Elephant Man to his credit, as well as the groundbreaking television series Twin Peaks, David Lynch is one of the most colorful and best-known directors of our time. He is here tonight with his newest movie called Lost Highway. It's a pleasure to welcome you here, and thanks for joining CBS.
Thank you, Tom.
In reading about you this afternoon, at about 20 years of age, you were in Philadelphia.
I sure was.
All right, and there you loved painting, but you also became intrigued, as I read, with the idea of animation, of making the pictures move. Huh?
Well, I was in I went to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, Broad and Cherry Streets, and
I know it well. I worked there.
Yeah, and Mike, we could just stop for a second because I watched you in Philadelphia, and I think we came to L.A. in 1970, the same year.
Yeah.
And so then I come out here and I see you on TV here. I couldn't.
You say, what is this guy following me?
It was really
weird,
perplexing. Yeah,
and weird, which would appeal to you.
Yeah, it appealed to me.
Yeah, weird.
And I was painting, and it was the painting. As I said before, is painting very dark paintings, and I saw some little part of this figure moving, and I hear a wind, and I really wanted these things to move and have a sound with them, and so I started making an animated film just as a moving painting. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I wasn't in the film business.
No.
I was just doing it to make them move.
And you were doing it informally. It wasn't for commercial release. You were tinkering around, as it were.
Extremely informal. I built this 1-minute film on a sculptured screen with the sound of a siren going for experimental painting and sculpture contest at the end of the year that they had every year.
And then you made a short film while in Philadelphia, did you not?
Well, I made that short film, and I made 2 other short films through, well, the first one wasn't through the American Film Institute, but I got a grant from the Independent Filmmakers Program from the American Film Institute, and that was pretty much one of the happiest days of my life.
And what was that short film?
That was called The Grandmother.
Right. And what was the one with all the faces?
That was the very first one, 6 men getting sick. It was actually untitled, and I've since then titled it.
And so what's the title now?
6 men getting sick.
Getting sick.
Yeah.
They throw up and then their heads blow up.
Well, no, they don't blow up. There's some fire involved, and they become sick, yeah.
Now, where did your early ideas for films come from? When Eraserhead was being formed in your imagination, where were these ideas coming from? And did you have filmmakers in mind that you wished to emulate or take from movies you'd seen as a kid?
No, sir.
Okay.
Ideas are, I think we'd all agree, the greatest things
no question.
Going.
Nothing
And
happens
where
unless
do
somebody
they-
has an idea.
Exactly right. And ideas are sort of closely connected to thoughts.
Yeah.
And the ideas and thoughts are out there, and how do they come to us? It's a mystery. 1 minute they're not there, and the next minute they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And but certain things trigger these things. They must. And my greatest influence was the city of Philadelphia.
No kidding.
No kidding. Eraserhead was born in Philadelphia.
And where would the ideas come from? You
From
know,
things,
I know that you look a little beneath the surface that the rest of us see.
Well, everybody does. Everybody senses things.
Yeah.
You go into a room and someone's sitting there, and you immediately know that this person is sad, and you can sense
Right.
it in the air.
Right.
They don't even have to say anything. Words communicate many things, but there's something else that comes through the air that communicates actually much more. And so as you go around in Philadelphia, you see things, and thoughts begin to form.
Things like.
Well, I saw, many things. I didn't probably live in an area like you lived in. I lived in quite a bad areas of town.
Okay.
But so I would see things, and
Like one thing you saw.
well, I saw a woman in a backyard squawking like a chicken. Crawling on her hands and knees in tall, dry grass. And I saw, many strange things
That
like
would catch
this.
my eye, too.
Yeah, that was not in Eraserhead.
Anyway, Eraserhead was an enormous success, although it took you 5 years to get it together, to get the money to have it made. Mel Brooks saw it.
Eraserhead wasn't a great success. It was on the marquees and art houses for many years. But in terms of great successes,
I'm not measuring. I'm not measuring success in dollars.
In dollars, okay.
No,
yeah.
I'm measuring.
Then it was a tremendous success.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, but anyway, Mel Brooks sees this picture, and he said, "You direct the Elephant Man."
Yeah, it was. I've said before, maybe even 999 out of 1,000 people would not have said that after having seen Eraserhead. But it was my good fortune to meet up with Mel Brooks.
Yeah, but he saw Eraserhead.
Right, he
and
did.
something in that picture, I don't know what it was because I haven't talked to him about it. Mm-hmm. Something touched him.
Yes.
Something said, "This is the man who can bring this project to fruition."
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, the project, you not only brought it to fruition, but it earned you an Academy Award nomination.
It did.
And placed you in the forefront of young Hollywood motion picture directors.
Yes, it was a beautiful thing.
It was a gift from God.
It was.
Okay,
It was.
There you go. Now, we will continue in just a second here because now I want to go to the next part of the story where you are offered the directorship of The Return of the Jedi. And you reject that and say, "No, I'm going to go on and make a picture called Dune."
It wasn't quite that way, but
but for my little purpose here.
Sure.
Okay.
Fantastic.
We will continue with David Lynch. The newest picture is called Lost Highway, and we have a little clip from that as well.
Fantastic.
So we'll have all that and more on the plate right after this short break. You're watching CBS. Let me try this one. Had you done Return of the Jedi instead of Dune, what difference do you think it would have made in your life?
You can't ever tell about those things.
To Susan of the toll-free in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello and welcome to CBS.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
My question tonight is, David, are you ever bothered by what the critics say about your films? And when are you coming back to Wilmington?
Oh, you're calling from Wilmington?
Yeah, well, I live in Wilmington sometimes and work on films, but we need you here.
Well, bless your heart. Some things critics say bother me. I really believe in constructive criticism instead of destructive criticism, and so lately I'm not reading those things.
Okay.
You don't mind if somebody, for example, were to review your film and point out what, in their view, they felt were deficiencies. But if they simply come on and say, David Lynch made a stinky movie, that's not fair. But if somebody comes on and presents a legitimate critique of your work, that's okay by you.
Right. I had a great teacher named Frank Danielle at the American Film Institute, and he taught with constructive criticism.
Okay.
So you could be criticized, but it was money in the bank for you for your next project, and he would inspire you as he was, being somewhat critical.
Got you. Susan, I'm glad you called. Thanks for watching.
Oh, yeah. See you in Wilmington.
See you,
All right.
see you, Susan.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Robert Blake was here about 2 weeks ago, and he talked about making this film, Lost Highway, with you. And he said, and I can say this to you because you've probably heard this, that he saw the picture and he didn't really understand the picture. Right. Is that okay with you if people go to this movie and they just don't understand?
Well, Robert's a little slow, but Robert's a great guy, and he is. He was great on your show.
He always
just got
is.
away, and it was really because of a talk show. I saw him on Carlin a long time ago. I was so impressed with him for being a guy who speaks his mind.
Yes.
And he told me right at the first meeting, I don't understand the script, but I want to do it. And an actor has to understand his or her character. And as far as the whole thing, it may not be 100% important. And Robert is incredible. He had an inner thing going in his performance that was really something.
I've got a little clip of him. What is his character?
He plays a guy called the Mystery Man.
The Mystery Man, all right. And let me just show this to you then. This is a little snippet here from Lost Highway featuring the work of our friend Robert Blake, as directed by David Lynch.
We've met before, haven't we? I don't think so. Where was it you think we met? At your house, don't you remember? As a matter of fact, I'm there right now. That's crazy, man. Call me. I told you I was here. How'd you do that? Ask me.
Robert Blake with Bill Pullman in a scene from Lost Highway. It's in release now at theaters everywhere?
No. It's going to 175 theaters this Friday, this weekend, and it'll go up as it goes.
Okay,
through the weeks.
I hope it's a huge success for you. I'm an enormous fan of your work, I must tell you that, and I treasure meeting you, and I hope you'll come back.
Tom, it was a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. David Lynch, my friends. The picture is called Lost Highway. Look for it at theaters in your town. Back after this break. I really... Tomorrow on this program, Bill Maher is here from Politically Incorrect, which is enjoying some success now on a different network. And Richard Reeves, our old friend who writes about real politics, will join us as well. I hope now you'll stay with Steve Mason on the Late Late Radio Show at 1-800-890-9990. Incidentally, I usually go over, the radio studio is, 40 feet behind the TV studio here, and I usually go over there 2-3 nights a week and take your calls and kind of review what we've done here on the simulcast side. But I still got the cold, and I'm trying not to push the vocal cords, so I've been cutting back on that. But Steve will be there tonight at 1-800-890-9990. By the way, I thank everybody at the bar out in Aspen, Colorado tonight for being so patient. The folks that we made famous there for a couple of seconds and swing over and see are the bartenders still there, and are they still one deep at the bar? We made some people famous, and they put up. When we put television into places like this, it creates almost chaos. And so I appreciate their enduring our presence tonight to allow us to interview my good friend George Carlin, whose special appears on HBO this coming weekend. Again, tomorrow night, Bill Maher and Richard Reeves. As my dad used to say, if at first you do succeed, try not to look too surprised. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody.